So today I want to talk about fear and self-sabotage. Some of this might be a little bit redundant, but I do hope that however long this video is, that you'll stick it out and that you'll listen to it because it's got a lot of really great information. I want to be very transparent and letting you all know that everything that I'm talking about is something that I am currently living and have been living for several years. The constant fear, the constant self-sabotage. But what has helped me so much are these 6 tips and tricks that I'm going to talk about, but also just coaching and having a coach. I have pretty much had a coach since August. It's been 3 different ones. And I'm so fortunate that a coach landed in my lap as of Monday for me to start coaching again. Definitely did not expect that to happen, but I saw a spark in me happen when I got a coach again. I haven't had one since I think about March. I was in a group coaching situation from March until May. And what I have found is that when I don't have a coach, I go back into some very negative habits of self-sabotage, self-doubt, my inner critic, and procrastination. And so what I've already seen is having a coach is so helpful. So I do encourage you guys, whether it's watching these videos to learn how to self-coach yourself or finding a coach to do that. So I want to talk about some 6 tips and tricks to help with fear. When we have a fear-based way of thinking, we make some of the worst decisions. Fear and the fear of failure, or the fear of losing, or the fear of not finding, or the grass not being greener on the other side, those are the things that keep us stagnant. Those are the things that sabotage our progress. And I have lived this. So not only have I lived this, I've read dozens now of books about this, and been in coaching circles with many coaches and many clients now that I've had who have experienced the exact same things. So there are 6 tips and tricks that I want to talk about. And one is when you're in this place of you have a big goal, or you're thinking it's a really big goal and it's a really hard goal to achieve, but you know that that is what your heart wants. You know that that is where your spirit is leading you. When you start to get to that place of overwhelming yourself, work on grounding, breathing, sitting there, and making a practice of asking yourself, have I survived worse? Have I ever been in a situation before where I thought I was terrified and I thought that it was impossible, but turns out I was capable? Good examples are starting a new job, learning new systems, learning new technology. I think a lot of us might have felt that way. I know I did when COVID happened. Even COVID's a good example of what does this mean? How can we live life this way? It was very scary. The unknown was, but we all adapted and we all made it through. Most of us. So, reminding yourself, has there been a moment in time in my life, whether it's times when you've been through a breakup and you weren't sure that you were going to make it through, or, maybe it's losing a job and you were like, how am I going to ever survive this? But you did survive. You found a way. Things worked out. Now, looking back on those experiences, are they that scary? Probably not, because you're on the outside of it. So just reminding yourself that, of course, it's overwhelming and scary, but there have been times like this in my life that I felt the same way and that I survived. The next tip and trick, number 2, is to ask yourself, and I got some of this from a book I just read, You Are a Badass by Jen Sincero. And one of the things I love that she said is to ask yourself, what's at stake? So asking yourself, will you regret whatever it is if you don't do it? Instead of saying, will I regret if I try and I fail? Asking yourself, will I regret it if I don't even try? And what feelings will arise if I don't try? I think often what we're going to find out is that if we look at it, if we don't even try, we're going to have the same feelings that we're so scared of having if we try and we fail. So asking yourself, okay, what's better, to try and to fail, or to not try at all? The next trick is to stay present. This goes into the all or nothing mindset. Calm yourself down, calm your body down, take a breath. You are safe. You are okay right now. And even if you're not okay, you're probably safe presently in your body. So come to the present moment right now and stop this all or nothing mindset. How am I going to get from A to Z? Give this example all the time that marathon runners don't start off running 26.2 miles on the first day. They train. So how can you get from A to B? Is that walking a half mile? You can do that. Finding out one thing. What can I do today to move myself forward? What you'll find out is that breeds a lot of confidence and that relieves a lot of anxiety. So breaking down your goals to very small goals. A great book that I recommend to a lot of people is Atomic Habits. There's another book called Tiny Habits. Atomic Habits is by James Clear. Tiny Habits is by BJ Fogg. And they give really great examples of how to break down your goals. The next tip and trick, number 4, is to change your mind on failure. I have posted so many quotes about this. We've talked about Michael Jordan. One of the most famous quotes that people know is his quote about how many game-winning shots he's lost, how many games that he's lost, and that he had still succeeded. Another example is that it took Thomas Edison over 1,000 attempts to make the light bulb. It took the Wright brothers, who everyone thought were crazy for wanting to make a motor-operated plane, 4 years. Literally, there's stories about how people thought they were crazy. I mean, imagine, I'm going to make something that flies. And it took them 4 years. And many failed attempts. Ford, there's a good example about him and how his team of engineers kept failing making the 8-cylinder motor. So different examples, you can Google those, you can look those up. Successful people fail all the time. Failure is not your worst enemy. Failure is actually just a lesson. It's a lesson for what you need to change and do better the next time. It is literally a step that we must make in order to make progress. So change your mind on failure and embrace failure. I've been telling my kids, I want you to fail because failing means that you are trying, and we're not going to be perfect. We are not supposed to know how to do something the first time. So whether it's weight loss goals, whether it's, getting a job, whatever it may be, keep going, keep trying. You learn from your failures and you actually get stronger and better. The 5th tip and trick is self-compassion. That kind of plays into the changing your mindset on failure. Having a lot of self-compassion and love for yourself. You're not perfect. You're not supposed to know how to do things you've never done before. You can read a million books, but it's a lot different when you put it into practice because we're all different. So giving yourself the self-compassion and the love to say, hey, this might have not worked out, but I trust myself that I'm capable of learning. I trust myself that I'm capable of going from not being able to get out of my bed because of my depression and my anxiety to giving myself the grace and the love and the compassion, working on those things of loving myself, that one day I'm going to be able to get up and get out of my bed. Where you will be in a year from now, I heard this quote recently and I don't know who said it, is that the worries that you have today will not be the worries that you have in a year, more than likely. And so I think that that's a really great way to start showing yourself some compassion and to work on trusting yourself. Another way to kind of get through that is loving yourself when you have off days and building in room for grace. For instance, instead of your goal going from 0 days of working out a week, maybe you have a realistic goal of working out 3 days a week so that you have 4 days of grace if you know that you have a lot going on, but making it your bottom line that, the same way that you might say, I have to pick my kids up from school, or, I have to feed my dog, like whatever the goal is you're saying my bottom line is that I'm not going to miss more than 3 days of working out. So set realistic goals, but build in that compassion for yourself. If you have an off week and you miss every single day of working out, trust yourself in saying, instead of beating myself up and telling myself I'm never going to do this again, I'm going to forgive myself for having an off week, and I'm going to go back to my bottom line and get back on it this week. This will change your life. This will. We spend so much time hating on ourselves, which then results in us telling ourselves that we're not capable of change and growth when we really are. And the last tip and trick, this is a very long video, but the last one is to watch out for what messages that you are giving yourself and also that you are receiving. So if you are talking to friends and family about your dreams and your goals, and their instant reaction is to say, don't quit your job. That's not safe. That could be very bad for you. I would suggest that you build some boundaries around that. Whether you have open conversations with them to say, I really need your support right now. I believe in myself. I trust myself, or I'm trying to believe in myself and trust myself. But this is something I know that I need to do. Have those, if those are people who can receive that message and then support you, great, because you will need support. But if they're not, stop talking to those people about those goals and those dreams, and or leaving that relationship, and talk to people who understand you, whether it's a coach or a therapist or a friend or that's been through it. Talk to people who support you. That is going to give you the courage to move forward, and you know yourself better than anyone else. And unfortunately, but fortunately, people who love and care about us, they often tell us out of their own fear-based thinking what it is that they think they need to tell us to protect ourselves. And what happens is that they're actually discouraging us, and they're becoming a part of that inner narrative that we can't do it. So fill your time with, if it's a song, if it's songs, podcasts, books, and people around you who have the same thinking and mindset that you are capable and really can do anything that you put your mind to. The Wright brothers are an example of that. Athletes who have gone to the Olympics are examples of that. They train, they coach, and they have the right people around them who are building them up and telling them not to give up and that they can do it. Just because they're fearful does not mean that they can't break through that. So that's it today. Hope you guys have a great day, and hope you work through those fears.